Everybody enter the stars. And as we approach the 100-year anniversary of the first archaeological expedition to Easter Island, we are now finding that Easter Island is in fact in the news, as we had foreshadowed about a month ago. We have the first case of Zika virus reported on Easter Island. Now, the Zika virus is a relatively new pathogen that has been detected over the last decade or so. So far, it has been confined to the other islands in the Pacific and in Africa, and now it has finally spread to Easter Island, and it just so happens that it spread almost exactly the 100-year anniversary of the first archaeological expedition. Now, the Zika virus is a rare but benign mosquito-borne illness, and is spreading across the islands of the South Pacific. It says here that Easter Island is one of the most remote inhabited islands in the world. The nearest continental point lies in central Chile, more than 2,000 miles away. So let's look at what the Zika virus is. This is a relatively new pathogen, as I talked to you about, and it comes from the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Now, the Aedes aegypti mosquito, as you can already tell, has the word Egypt in it, which has the telltale signs of the Nephilim and the fallen angels. Now, Egypt comes from Mizraim. Mizraim was the brother of Cush. Mizraim in the Bible is Egypt. If you look at any interlinear Bible, mechanical Bible, and you look up the word Mizraim, it in fact says that Mizraim is Egypt, and the brother of Cush and the brother of Canaan would make them both brothers of the Nephilim, because Canaan was cursed. And we've covered this on previous videos and proven the bloodline connecting back to those three brothers, and everything from that point forward that talks about giants in the Bible are related to those three brothers. Now, the Zika virus, as it says here, was first detected in 1947 from the rhesus monkey, and was isolated for the first time in humans in 1968 in Nigeria. From 1951 through 1981, evidence of human infection was reported in other African countries, and is transmitted by mosquitoes, the Aedes aegypti. Studies show that the intrinsic incubation period in mosquitoes is about 10 days. Okay, so clinical, these are the symptoms. There's a rash, headache. Okay. The first well-documented case of Zika virus wasn't until 1964, beginning with a mild headache, progressing with pain. Okay, it is non-life threatening. This is the first outbreak of the disease outside of Africa and Asia. Wasn't until April of 2007 on the island of Yap in the Federated States of Micronesia. Okay, so up to that point it had been limited to Africa. Like I said, this is a relatively new virus, so it is of note that it is in the news and it's in Easter Island. That is not common. So, this is the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Okay, if you're not convinced of the Nephilim roots and connections, look at the markings of this mosquito. We see the black and white hallmark of the Nephilim. Okay, many of the animals mentioned that were quite possibly genetically modified from that time period have this black and white patterning on them. So now we're going to go back to IPEC Goat and actually compare the markings of that mosquito to this Egyptian boat that is featured in IPEC Goat. And we see the striped connection there. We also see the Egyptian decoration on this boat. And it also has an image on the front of the boat that looks exactly like some of the imagery we see in ancient Egypt. And there's, of course, our Moai statue in the background. And it's interesting that this figure that's a frog that we covered as the polywog as people cross the equator is dancing in front of that flame as a mosquito would be attracted to the flame or the light. And then, of course, we have the Moai statue from Easter Island in the background. And I just thought that was of note as well, comparing what is actually happening in the news to what's happening now. And here is a better image of the boat as it passes through, and the image on the front of that boat that matches Egyptian hieroglyphs, and of course the Egyptian pyramids here tie it all in together. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see what appears to be a Moai statue laying down with his eyebrow on the horizon, the rest of his face going up into the sky. Now we have to remember, these fallen angels have the technology to do these types of things. I'm not saying 100% sure that this animal is genetically modified and that it was created, but we have to begin to piece things together and put two and two together. It has the name, it has the markings. Here's the distribution of the Aedes aegypti mosquito here, mostly in the tropical and subtropical regions. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys. I'll leave links to all this in the description. So this is, of course, is iPet goat, and what you're looking at here is the head of Anubis, which is a hybrid, half jackal, half human, from ancient Egypt. He was in charge of the dead. Here's some images from the Google search on Anubis that demonstrate the match of the image to what we saw in iPet goat. And there's one in particular here that looks very much like it. There it is there. It's an exact match. And of course there's this scene in iPet goat where we see the boat, the back of the boat, and you'll see that chalice looking thing on the back. And I found a match for that as well. That is the Khufu ship, which is the oldest known intact ship in the world. As you can see, the chalice-like match on the top of this image here. Anyway, guys, take care and be safe.